All right, so here's a couple of problems just for the 2.9 set, just to help kind of get you started. If you need to go back, I'm going to try and go through this as quickly but as slowly as possible to help you out. The very first thing that we talked about in the set is we talked about how to find the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts we find by setting each factor equal to 0. So 0 equals 4, 0 equals x minus 2, and 0 equals x plus 6. Well, 0 equals 4, even though that's a factor that doesn't really help us out, we can't solve for anything, so we just negate that. The next one we add 2 to both sides and we get x equals 2, and the next one we subtract 6 from both sides and get 0 equals negative 6. So our x-intercepts actually end up being negative 6 and 0, and 2 and 0. Okay, great, that's done. The next thing we did in the work is we found our axis of symmetry. Well, I'm going to kind of show you how to find that axis of symmetry, but we're going to do that with a visual. Here's a graph. If I know my x-intercepts, I'm just going to kind of plot those there. Minus 6, positive 2, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop and think to myself, gee, negative 6 is the left side of the parabola, positive 2 is the right side. That axis of symmetry has to go in the middle somewhere. This would be about the middle of it. So for a vertex, it should have a negative x value. That should be negative. That should be reasonable. But where is that? Well, look at what the total distance is between negative 6 and positive 2. That's a total distance of 8 units, right? Half of 8 is equivalent to 4. So either 2 minus 4 or minus 6 plus 4. Either one is going to leave me at x equals negative 2. So that's the x value of the vertex. Now, how do I find the y value? And look at what the mental picture gives you. It's halfway in between. Well, what about my y value, my vertex? I'm going to plug negative 2 in for here and here. So y is equal to 4 times negative 2 minus 2 times negative 2 plus 6. It looks like a lot, but it's a lot when you plug it in, but it simplifies rather quickly. Minus 2 is minus 4. Minus 2 plus 6 is positive 4. And think to yourself, what's my output? Positive or negative? Positive times a negative is negative. Negative times positive is negative. 4 times 4 times 4, 64. Now, is that reasonable? That means that negative 2 and 64, my vertex is way down here. But remember, your parabola opens up, and it's going to be really skinny because that a value, or that stretch, which we could go ahead and figure out right now, is going to cause it to do that rather rapidly. Now, what about my y-intercept? Well, the last thing I have to figure out, gee, x is 0. So if x is 0, I'm just going to plug it in. Y equals 4 times 0 minus 2 times 0 plus 6. I know that's hard to see, but the other thing we learned too is that my y-intercept is the product of the last two factors in a. Stop and think about it. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 0 plus 6 is positive 6. Again, is it positive or negative? It's going to be negative. Positive times negative, negative. Negative times positive, negative. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 6 is 48. So 0 and negative 48, which tells me that my y-intercept is going to be down here somewhere, 0 and negative 48. Okay, so there's one. The other that I've been getting a lot of questions about today is question 15. And the reason is because it's got that fraction. So x, I think it's minus 8 and x plus 4, if I remember correctly. Yep, there it is. So the first thing I want you to do, and you know what, you can go back and rewind this if you need to. I'm just going to go ahead and use this info right here. Since I'm recording, okay, I'm going to leave, well, I'll leave that there for a second, and there's a reason why. First thing I want to do is find my y-intercepts. Well, go back and look at what we had here. The x-intercepts were the opposite of what those factors were. I shouldn't have erased it. X minus 2, x plus 6. My y-intercepts were negative 6 and 0, 2 and 0. Look at that. Look at my factors. Look at my x-intercepts. What do you notice? The x-intercepts are the opposite values of what your factors are. So if that's the case, what are my x-intercepts? Negative 4, positive 8. Minus 4 and 0. 8 and 0. All right, so there's my x-intercepts. Well, draw yourself a little graph. Negative 4, positive 8. Think, what's this total distance? Okay, this marker's bye-bye. So if this total distance, think about it, what is that total distance? 8 to 4, 12. That axis of symmetry better be right about here. That looks like it's in the middle. Well, what is that number? Divided by 2 is equal to 6, minus 4 plus 6, or 8 minus 6. Either way is positive 2. So x equals positive 2. So the x value of the vertex is positive 2. Now I got to find the y. Here's where I get some work in here. And we eliminated this over here. Here's where I'm at. So y equals negative 1/2 times 2 minus 8 times 2 plus 4. Negative 1/2 minus 6. Answer is going to be positive because negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive, positive. Half of 6 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Last thing I got to do, well, second to last thing I got to do is find my y-intercept, product of the last two factors in A. So y equals negative 1/2 times negative 8 times positive 4. Negative times negative is positive, times a positive is positive. Half 8 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16. So 0 and 16. And lastly, my stretch, negative 1/2. Right? If you need to, go back and rewind that. There's your answers. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 18 are the only ones you're responsible for. It's on Google Classroom. Ask questions.